Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Zaisha Said. On the show tonight, 2 weeks to peace or terror. With the clock now ticking, Ukraine stands at a critical crossroads after a high-stakes summit in Washington. US President Donald Trump has pledged sweeping security guarantees which will be defined in the next 10 days. Also on the show, from MAGA hats to missed dinners and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy's 8 thank yous to Trump to his militarized pantsuit. We will get you up to speed with the behind-the-scenes moment and the smiles at the White House. Also on Gravitas, a game changer is in the air. Ukraine has just dropped a bombshell and has unveiled its most powerful cruise missile yet. We are talking about the Flamingo. All that and a lot more lined up for you on the show tonight. Let's get you started.
Thanks so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for the invitation and thank you very much for your efforts.
It's 2 weeks to peace or terror for Ukraine, and the clock is ticking. After the major summit at the White House, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy has said that security guarantees for Kyiv could be formalized within the next 10 days. And German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, part of the European delegation that went to Washington to lend support to Zelensky, said that a meeting between the leaders of Russia and Ukraine could happen in 2 weeks. The promise to find a solution made by US President Donald Trump and backed by key European allies has now given Ukraine hope. Hope that things will turn out well for Ukraine after almost 4 years of war. But that path to peace is not so easy and remains as fragile as ever. In fact, take a look at this picture on your screen right now. A large map of Ukraine with the occupied territories marked was on display in the Oval Office, where Trump and Zelensky began their talks. Zoom in and you will see something interesting. The map showed the entire eastern section of Ukraine shaded in pink to show the areas that are under Russian control. According to experts, Trump may have been trying to put pressure on Zelensky, perhaps pushing him towards the idea of territorial concessions in exchange for peace. We now know that all these issues, including the possible territorial exchange, will be a topic that will be discussed at the leader-level talks with mediation of Trump, that is during the future trilateral talks. But we perhaps couldn't help but wonder, what was the purpose of putting it there? It's hard to say for now. But from where we are sitting, it is a reminder of the pressure on Zelensky to trade land for peace right now. For now, we know that Zelensky has hailed the meeting as a major step forward towards ending Europe's deadliest war in 80 years. The mood at the Oval Office, where Trump hosted Zelensky, was surprisingly warm. There were handshakes, warm words, and pledges of support. A true picture of Western unity in the face of war. Perhaps quite different from the disastrous meeting at the Oval Office in February, where Trump had berated Zelensky publicly for the war. And this time, Trump promised security guarantees to Ukraine, something that Ukraine has been demanding for a very long time. Now, what form those guarantees will take remains unclear, as no details have been provided so far. But Zelensky insists they will be on paper within 10 days. But beyond the optics, the reality on the battlefield remains grim. Hours after the Washington meeting, Russia launched its largest aerial assault of the month on Ukraine. Reports say that 270 drones and 10 missiles were fired by Russia at Ukraine's Poltava region, home to the country's only oil refinery. Massive fires broke out, thousands lost power, though fortunately no casualties were reported. Russia also struck the central city of Kremenchuk and carried out fresh attacks in the Chernihiv region. So, even as leaders talk peace and their summits, the war raged on the ground. According to experts, more than 1 million people have been killed or wounded since the war began in 2022. Still, despite the progress made so far, even now, the sticking points remain. For starters, number one, Russia is yet to commit to any Zelensky-Putin meeting. And Putin continues to demand territory, including land not under Russia's control. I am talking about the eastern Donbas region of Ukraine, which has seen some of the most intense fighting of the war. It is made up of two oblasts or provinces called Donetsk and Luhansk. And as you can see from this map, a section of this region remains in Ukraine's control. For the Russians capturing Donbas, it is a price. Additionally, Trump has told Ukraine to abandon hopes of regaining Crimea or joining NATO. Trump has also backed away from insisting on a ceasefire before talks. He says negotiations can continue even while fighting does go on, which is a position welcomed by Moscow. But this is fear in Kyiv and across Europe. So how is Europe reacting? European leaders are pushing back. Germany's foreign minister says if Putin does not come to the talks table, sanctions must intensify. French President Emmanuel Macron insists that a ceasefire must come first. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says membership for Ukraine is not on the table, but Article 5 type security guarantees can be discussed. That is sure to provoke Russia, that has repeatedly warned the West against using Ukraine as a way to attack Russia. As far as Russia's response is concerned, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has so far refused to commit to a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, but perhaps stopped short of ruling out further talks. Speaking to Russian state media on Tuesday, Lavrov was also quoted as claiming Russia never sought to seize territories. Instead, he said Russia's goal was to protect the Russians who had lived on these lands for centuries. Zelensky, meanwhile, has offered to buy $90 billion worth of U.S. weapons, including aircraft and air defense systems, in exchange for security guarantees. He's also confirmed that Ukraine is ready to meet Russia in any format, saying the question of land will be discussed directly with Putin. But with Putin still holding out and Russia intensifying attacks, the risks are enormous. Critics warn that Zelensky could be forced into painful compromises. Some fear that a bilateral meeting with Putin without broader guarantees could backfire, leaving Trump to decide whom to blame for the failed talks. For now, Trump is pushing hard for a deal within 2 weeks, and the stakes could not be higher. Europe's security, Ukraine's sovereignty, and the future of the war, they all hang in the balance. In the land of polished podiums, sharp suits and strained diplomacy, the White House remains a stage not just for policy, but for performance. Behind the curtain of diplomacy are awkward photo ops and unexpected phone calls. In the next few minutes, we will get you up to speed with what was behind the scenes and the smiles at the White House yesterday. In the Oval Office on Monday, US President Donald Trump displayed a map showing frontline and combat areas in Ukraine. The map was titled Ukraine-Russia Conflict and showed Ukrainian territories under Russian control. This map that you see on your screens right now may have served as a reference point for Trump and Zelensky to discuss territorial concessions that would be included in a peace deal with Russia. And later on camera and addressing Trump and EU leaders, Zelensky spoke about taking the map back home.
He showed the President a lot of details on the battlefield, on the map. Thank you so much. Thank you for the map, by the way.
Good map.
It was great. Yeah. I'm thinking how to take it back.
We'll get you.
No. I think that we had constructive, specific meeting, and I'm very thankful to all the leaders who are here, and you help a lot, and so we are happy that we have such big unity today.
Second, Trump's surprise phone call to Putin in the middle of a discussion with European leaders. The US president dialed his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, and they spoke about efforts to reach a Ukraine deal. Leaders of Britain, Germany, Italy, Finland, Ukraine and NATO were sitting opposite him at the Oval Office table when the phone call was made. Third, and perhaps a highlight of the meet, was Zelensky's attire as to what he was wearing. The Ukrainian president had changed not just his tactics for Trump for this Oval Office meet, he'd also swapped the military-style clothing that has been made his de facto uniform since the war with Russia began in 2022. This time around, Zelensky chose a militarized pantsuit, wearing an all-black jacket, shirt and slacks by Ukrainian fashion designer Vuitton Animasov. Listen in to the US President Donald Trump's reaction to Zelensky's new look.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good on
I
you.
said the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's in. I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed. You are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
And then there was the hot mic moment that has created a stir. Caught on the microphone was US President Donald Trump telling French President Emmanuel Macron, Vladimir Putin wants to make a deal for me. This exchange came just before the multilateral meeting between Zelensky, Trump and the EU leaders. Well, at the high-stakes White House summit, where security guarantees and land swap negotiations were discussed, one unspoken directive echoed through European delegations. Be nice to Trump. European leaders, armed with policy papers and rehearsed smiles, thanked Trump time and again. It was not just the EU leaders there who followed the quiet mantra. Zelensky too joined the chorus, showing how everyone at the high-stakes White House meeting played along and praised President Trump, no matter the stakes. Not just once or twice. Zelensky thanked Trump 8 times during his Oval Office meet. Well, the European leaders had come to the White House armed with carefully crafted policy points and even more carefully crafted compliments. The high-stakes summit wrapped up faster than expected, so fast that there was no dinner served, something which also happened during the Alaska summit with Putin. Apart from that, as is now the norm with leaders visiting the White House, Trump gave Macron and Zelensky a tour of the MAGA hat collection. He even gifted them his 4 more years hat. And lastly, the White House appeared to have covered up Donald Trump's ankles from an official photo from his meeting with Zelensky. Trump's swollen ankles were hard to miss as his slacks crept up and his shin while sitting down with Zelensky. But in a photo from the meeting posted by the White House's X account, the angle conveniently placed Trump's Air Force One model in front of his enlarged lower limbs. And well, that was the gist of the high-stakes meeting in the White House. No toasts, no formal dinner, just polite applause. Feel awkward photo ops, and Zelensky saying thank you more times than anyone could count. In other news, Ukraine has dropped a bombshell. Kyiv has rolled out its biggest ever cruise missile, codenamed Flamingo, a weapon designed to strike deep inside the enemy lines and also strengthen and bolster Ukraine's reach inside Russia. Our next report telling you more.
A sleek predator of the skies. Deadly, precise, and unlike anything Ukraine has ever built before. Ukraine has unleashed its most powerful cruise missile yet, Flamingo. Ukraine has been relying on its Western partners for artillery shells, armored vehicles, tanks, and even American-made F-16 fighter jets since the start of the war. It's the Western weapon which has helped the Ukrainian soldiers to keep Russians at bay. But Russia's superior firepower and the policy change over weapon supplies from US President Donald Trump has pushed Ukraine towards a drive to be more self-reliant. President Volodymyr Zelenskiy says Kyiv produces about 40% of the weapons used at the front and looks to increase that amount sharply. The country that started with drones seems to be shifting its gears. Ukraine is now focusing in developing missiles that can strike deep inside Russia. Flamingo is Ukraine's most ambitious missile development. The big beast has a 6-meter wingspan, weighing in at 6 tons. With a range of 3,000 kilometers, it can strike anywhere in central Russia, easily reaching Moscow or St. Petersburg or even some distance into Siberia. It has a top speed of 950 kilometers per hour and a cruising speed of 850 to 900 kilometers per hour. With pinpoint accuracy, the Flamingo is designed to cripple the enemy before they even see it coming. Ukraine has fielded the Neptune anti-ship missile, which gained global attention in April 2022, when it sank the Russian cruiser Moskva in the Black Sea. Newer Neptune variants have been modified for land attack missions, offering extended ranges against ground targets. Ukraine has also developed the Grim-2 or Hrim-2, a tactical ballistic missile with a range of up to 500 kilometers. Flamingo is proof that Ukraine is ramping up domestic arms production significantly. Despite heavy wartime pressure, these projects show Kyiv's determination to expand its indigenous strike capabilities. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's tell you what else landed for you on the show tonight. We will tell you how there's a thaw in ties between India and China, with India's NSA saying that there is an upward trend in ties with China. From India, we will tell you how India's Mumbai has been brought to a standstill with schools, colleges shut and streets submerged.
South Mumbai.
India and China continue to work towards rebuilding ties after years of tension over the border issues. The day started with India's NSA Ajit Doval meeting Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and saying that there has been an upward trend in ties. He said that over the past 9 months, as peace and tranquility have prevailed along the line of actual control, the LAC. His comments come after he and Wang Yi held the 24th round of border talks in New Delhi. After the meeting with NSA Doval, Wang Yi met Prime Minister Modi. During the meeting, Wang Yi is said to have handed over a personal message and invitation from Chinese President Xi Jinping to attend the SCO summit in Tianjin later this year. An invitation that Prime Minister Modi accepted. The Indian Prime Minister also emphasized that India remains committed to a fair, reasonable and mutually acceptable resolution of the boundary question, and also highlighted how peace on the border is essential for stable bilateral ties. Prime Minister Modi also welcomed what he described as steady and positive progress in ties since his meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping in Kazan last year. Now, Prime Minister Modi's upcoming trip to China will be his first trip there since 2018. Early in the day, NSA Doval said that Prime Minister Modi's China trip will give all these current talks a very special importance. Take a listen.
That with this new energy and the new momentum, that it is this thing with your personal efforts and with the maturity and the sense of responsibility of our diplomatic teams and our missions in the countries, your ambassador here, and also our armies on the borders, we have been able to make it this thing.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi struck a similar note. He called for strategic communication, expanding common interests, and properly settling specific issues. He also said that both the sides are heartened to see the stability now restored at the borders, describing this as an important opportunity for growth in the relationship.
Facts we experienced in the past few years were not in the interest of the people of our two countries. History and reality prove once again that a healthy and stable China-India relationship serves the fundamental and long-term interests of both of our countries. It is also what the developing countries all want to see.
Well, Wang is currently in Delhi as a part of efforts to reset ties since the deadly Galwan Valley clashes of 2020. Those clashes marked the lowest point in relations between India and China in decades. Both the countries deployed troops along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh. A breakthrough came in October 2024 when disengagement agreements were reached, though full de-escalation is still pending. Since then, the two sides have tried to stabilize ties by restoring tourist visas, not just that, resuming the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, and now reportedly discussing direct flights as well. Remember, the diplomatic engagement between India and China is also happening against the backdrop of US tariffs. India's ties with Washington have come under strain. That's after US President Donald Trump imposed steep tariffs on Indian goods, including penalties for buying Russian oil. The tariffs take effect later this week. And at the same time, Trump has sought to court Pakistan, hosting its army chief in Washington and announcing new energy deals with India's adversarial neighbor. That's also added a sort of urgency to New Delhi's outreach to Beijing. For China too, India's participation at the SCO summit is extremely important. For India, NSA Doval stressed that peace along the LAC and new energy and ties are essential for moving the relationship forward. He also reaffirmed India's adherence to the One China policy. This year also marks the 75th anniversary of India-China diplomatic ties, and both the sides say that they want to turn the page. For now, New Delhi and Beijing are calling this an opportunity. Mumbai sinks once more under relentless rain. From trains to flights, the city's heartbeat is paralyzed. Schools, colleges are shut following over 500 millimeters of rain in 84 hours. And the weather department warns of more rain. WION's Disha Shah bringing you this next report.
The fourth consecutive day and the financial capital city Mumbai has come to a standstill. The IMD had issued a red alert for the city on Tuesday.
The city that never sleeps has been forced to a staggering halt. Torrential rain has battered Mumbai round the clock. Hotspots like Vikhroli, Andheri, Dadar, Chembur and Borivali transforming into ankle-deep lakes. Pavements vanish, cars stuck in floodwater, headlights blinking like beacons in the murk.
It has been recorded as the wettest August season so far in the last 5 years as far as Mumbai city is concerned, because the overnight rains and the continuous rainfall since Tuesday morning has made Mumbai into a complete standstill.
Soaked commuters huddled under umbrellas wait atop bus stands, peering into the drizzle for any sign of commute. But the main blow comes with the suspension of Mumbai's beloved trains, the arterial network that feeds millions into the beating heart of India's financial capital. Major routes freeze, leaving thousands stranded. Long lines snake out from shuttered stations. Desperate travelers scramble for auto rickshaws, only to find roads drowning as well.
It's the fourth consecutive day and India's financial capital city Mumbai is witnessing heavy showers, and heavy rains have caused the city to a complete standstill. Here we are in one such location which is completely waterlogged. We are at Science Gandhi Market area, right here on the Eastern Express Highway, which connects to the major parts of the city, and this area is completely waterlogged.
Flight delays pile up at Mumbai airport, with runways struggling against rising water and panicked schedules. Yet, in true spirit, with schools shut, children turned flooded streets into playgrounds. Splashes, laughter, and fun.
Last 4 days we've seen consistent heavy rainfall here in Mumbai, and today particularly it's been heaviest because since morning it is pouring relentlessly, and more than 30 locations across Mumbai have already been submerged underwater.
The Indian Meteorological Department has sounded a red alert, forecasting extremely heavy rainfall through at least August 20th. Intensity may recede only by week's end, with authorities urging caution, work from home and clearing low-lying access. Across Maharashtra, flood warnings echo and urban flood maps flicker in control rooms. Right now, Mumbai battles on, drenched but undeterred, waiting for the skies to clear and the tracks to reopen. With Disha Shah, Bureau Report, WION The World is One.
On to Gaza now. Sound of airstrikes blaring, smoke rising into the sky, houses, marketplaces turning into rubble. These are scenes from southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis, which is reeling under fresh Israeli strikes. An overnight Israeli strike on a tent encampment killed 8 people in Khan Yunis, bringing the death toll to over 62,000. As per Gaza's health ministry, and leaving hundreds of thousands of Palestinians wounded. Not just that, countless also displaced. In nearby hospitals, mourners gathered to say last goodbye to loved ones lost in the attacks.
The family is gone, my daughter is gone, along with her husband and children. They have been erased from the civil registry. Only their memory remains, their pictures, their memories. Their son-in-law, who had a car, has been martyred as well. They can't pull him out and can barely identify him. They became memories.
On Monday, Hamas said it accepted a new proposal from Arab mediators for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, even though Israel has not responded to it yet. Meanwhile, Qatari officials have rather hailed Hamas's response as positive. They said that Gaza's ceasefire proposal agreed by Hamas is almost identical to U.S. Special Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff's plan, an earlier version that Israel had agreed to.
We have received Hamas's response, and as I mentioned, we consider it a positive response, and it is almost identical to what was agreed on previously by the Israeli side. However, we are still waiting for Israel's response to this proposal that we received. What can be confirmed, colleagues, is that we are now not only, as we always say, at a pivotal moment, a decisive moment, and so on. We are now at a truly humanitarian moment. If we do not reach an agreement now, we are facing a humanitarian catastrophe that will make the catastrophes that preceded it seem tiny before it.
Relatives of the hostages held captive in Gaza have also called on the Israeli government to secure ceasefire agreement and free the members of their family as soon as possible. All said and done, a breakthrough appears to be remote still. The United Nations has accused Israel of selective entry of aid into the Gaza Strip, which is inadequate to meet the food demands of the population. On Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu passed a remark on his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese. Bibi said that Albanese had forsaken Australia's Jewish community and betrayed Israel, implying diplomatic ties that are being tested by the war in Gaza. Now, with fears of fresh offensive by the Israeli forces, which had announced advancements further into Gaza, and no peace deal in sight for Palestinians, there seems to be no immediate respite as of now. And as the devastation from Israel's prolonged war in Gaza was not enough, Palestinians in Gaza are facing yet another nightmare. A rare paralytic illness. Doctors in Gaza are now battling deadly viruses that are causing paralysis. In a population already starving and collapsing under Israeli aid blockage, health experts say that Israel's destruction of Gaza's sanitation systems, it has created the perfect breeding ground for disease. Dangerous viruses are spreading unchecked, and children already weakened by hunger, by starvation, are the first to suffer. No one should be surprised. For months, international health officials had warned that the collapse of sanitation could trigger outbreaks. In fact, just last year, Gaza also saw polio re-emerge. And now, doctors are reporting a sharp surge in acute flaccid paralysis. It's a rare syndrome that weakens muscles and can even stop a child from breathing or even swallowing. According to a report in Politico, doctors say that the cases that were once rare have now exploded to nearly 100. That's the number in just 3 months. And among them is acute flaccid mellitus, which strikes children. These spread through contaminated water. The World Health Organization confirms at least 32 cases of paralysis in children under the age of 15 has been reported. Nearly 70% of tested samples were linked to enteroviruses, which is far higher than in previous years. The WHO also points to collapsing sanitation, malnutrition, and the blockade on medical care as key drivers. What about the treatment? In Gaza, it is almost impossible to be treated. Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City, which is largely destroyed by the Israeli strikes, has diagnosed 22 Guillain-Barré cases this year. 3 patients have reportedly died. 12 were left paralyzed and sent for rehab. Gaza doctors say that they desperately need plasma exchange equipment. But all these supplies, all these medicines are blocked. Even foreign doctors who try to bring filters in all these cases, they are often confiscated by the Israeli authorities. What's worse, children are the most vulnerable. And Gaza's young patients lack even the vitamins that are needed for nerve regeneration, since everything is now blocked. It is hardly surprising that the doctors and experts blame Israel for the roots of all these crises in Gaza. Remember, Israel's response to the Hamas attacks of October 7, 2023 has included restricted food into Gaza. Health officials there say that at least 188 people have died of hunger and most of them are children. The UN estimates more than 1,300 Palestinians have died just while searching for food and aid. And the global condemnation is growing louder with each passing day. Well, it's not a matter of if, but when. Even as the world seems to have moved on from COVID-19, the next pandemic is not just possible, but it is pretty much inevitable. These are the words of a top virologist who is warning the world of the next big pandemic. But that's not all that he said. He also raised caution about the fact that the world may not be ready to tackle what's coming next, perhaps also more frequent in number than ever before. An emeritus professor at the Hong Kong University, we're talking about Malik Perez, discovered the COVID-19 responsible for the 2003 outbreak of SARS, also known as severe acute respiratory syndrome. Not much different from the respiratory troubles faced by many COVID patients. Malik thinks the future pandemic could even see respiratory viruses, causing damage on a global scale. Given how virus can travel in weeks, and he may not be wrong. In recent decades, animal viruses have more often jumped to humans than in the past, with new viruses emerging in every 3 to 4 years, including SARS, swine flu, COVID-19, Middle East respiratory syndrome, Ebola, and Zika. One could argue that not all led to global pandemics. However, according to Professor Malik, factors such as livestock farming, animal husbandry in concentrated areas, increased global travel, and the exotic pet trade had increased animal to human transmission of these viruses. In recent times, both speed and convenience of global travel has improved drastically, which means someone can be injected and pass it on to the other side of the world, literally in just a span of 12 hours, with or without symptoms there. So what's the solution right now? And finding ways to integrate human, animal and environmental health. He also added taking preventive action which could reduce the risk of a pandemic emerging in the first place. He further insists that health bodies such as the World Health Organization must be empowered more for better facilitation and concerted action to tackle the causes of spillover to humans. Practices such as wearing masks and hand washing and sanitization also help in remaining pandemic ready in the future. Well, Google is entering a new frontier once dominated by governments and heavy industry. The company that organizes the world's information is now looking to power it, not with solar panels or wind farms, but with nuclear fission. The race to build artificial intelligence has now become a desperate scramble for a new energy source. Take a look.
The clean, minimalist design of Google's search page hides a dark and energy-hungry secret. Behind the scenes, the servers that power the company's AI models are consuming a staggering and ever-increasing amount of electricity. This colossal energy demand has led to a radical and some say dangerous new solution. Google has announced a groundbreaking partnership with nuclear startup Kairos Power and the Tennessee Valley Authority to build an advanced, small modular reactor in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The plant, scheduled to be operational by 2030, is the first of its kind, designed to feed a steady supply of clean, reliable energy directly to Google's nearby data centers. Google isn't alone. Microsoft is reviving 3 Mile Island to keep its AI computations humming. Meta has inked a 20-year nuclear power deal for over 1 GW from Illinois. Tech titans are betting big linking nuclear and AI's energy hunger.
Most of the energy goes into powering the graphics processing units, the compute. And as these GPUs generate answers and draw power in doing so, they also generate heat, which means we need water to cool those processes down to keep the machine room temperatures at a nice stable temperature. So we are talking about massive growth in data center infrastructure, energy use, and water use.
Global data center electricity estimated 460 terawatt hours in 2022, making them the 11th largest user of electricity on Earth. That's equivalent to power needs of Saudi Arabia and France. The data center's total electricity consumption could reach more than 1,000 terawatt hours in 2026. The IEA warns demand could double by 2030. It is a terrifying race to secure the energy needed to fuel the next generation of computing. The stakes are immense: control over the AI future and with it, the power to shape the entire world.
She is known as the Ketamine Queen and is accused of running a drug empire out of a North Hollywood home. Jasveen Sangha has now agreed to plead guilty to federal charges, admitting that she supplied the lethal dose that killed Friends star Matthew Perry. The 42-year-old, who holds both US and UK citizenship, flaunted a lavish lifestyle online. The social media showed her enjoying luxury vacations and high-end beauty treatments. As per the reports, Sangha's background shows a privileged path. She graduated in 2001, earned a bachelor's from the University of California in 2005, and later went on to complete her MBA from Hult Business School in 2010. But behind closed doors, federal investigators say her LA residence turned into what they describe as a drug-selling emporium. It was a hub for ketamine, meth, cocaine, and counterfeit Xanax. She was directly tied to Matthew Perry's overdose in October 2023. Prosecutors say that she sold him 25 vials of ketamine for $6,000 just 4 days before his death. And Perry wasn't the only case. Sangha admitted to supplying ketamine in another fatal overdose back in 2019. Agents say that her North Hollywood residence doubled as storage and distribution for years of drugs. Now, she has agreed to plead guilty to multiple felony counts, including distribution resulting in death. The charges carry a possible sentence of up to 45 years in prison. Her final sentence will be decided at a later hearing. A silent collapse is underway in America's farmlands. Honeybees are dying by the millions. Yet halfway across the world, China's bees are buzzing stronger than ever, reaching record highs. So why are US hives collapsing while China's colonies thrive? We uncover that in our next report.
They are tiny wings that keep the world fed. Honeybees, nature's most tireless workers. 1/3 of all crops on Earth depend on their pollination. Without them, supermarket shelves would run empty. We would find it difficult to put food on our plate. Yet, in the United States, an alarming die-off is unfolding. From June 2024 to January this year, the U.S. lost a staggering 62% of its managed colonies, the worst collapse ever recorded. Beekeepers opened their hives to silence. No buzzing, no swarming, just empty combs. Scientists traced the culprit in June. Viruses carried by varroa mites, a parasite that clings to bees. For decades, American beekeepers fought infestations with a chemical weapon named amitraz. But the mites adapted, developed resistance, and left colonies defenseless. The result, a wave of deaths spreading across U.S. farmland. In sharp contrast across the Pacific, China is reporting a boom. Its bee population surged to a record 15 million colonies last year, a 25% rise, the highest in decades. So why the difference? Unlike in the U.S., where beekeeping is industrialized, Chinese farmers still use traditional hives, wooden boxes, village-scale practices. Less industrial pesticide use in certain regions, and strong government-backed bee research have helped colonies grow. And while America struggles to protect its pollinators, China is exporting honey at record levels. Experts warn this imbalance could hit global food chains, because bees don't just make honey, they sustain agriculture itself. Without them, supermarkets would turn empty, diets would shrink, economies would stagger. The world's future may well rest on the wings of a buzzing insect. And the survival of honeybees is, in truth, the survival of us all.
OpenAI's ChatGPT has proven to be a true game changer in the AI world. With an estimated user base of up to 1 billion people, ChatGPT's steep pricing, however, has been a major roadblock in the Indian market. But now, the company is aiming to change that. OpenAI has launched a new low-cost plan called ChatGPT Go in India. The new ChatGPT plan will cost only 399 rupees or $4.6 per month. That is just a fifth of the existing ChatGPT Plus plan. And the new ChatGPT plan has been designed exclusively for the Indian market, offering 10 times more daily queries and image generation than the free version. But the top features such as peak hour access and early feature rollouts remain reserved for the higher priced plans. OpenAI says the move is a part of its strategy to double down on India, a market CEO Sam Altman has called the future top user base by volume. ChatGPT's rivals like Google and Microsoft continue to price their AI subscriptions at around 2,000 rupees or $23 per month. For OpenAI, the rupees 399 price point could be a game changer of sorts, and that's not all. The company has also rolled out a new feature with its latest model, GPT-5. Users can now choose from 4 distinct ChatGPT personalities, namely cynic, robot, listener, and nerd. So what does that mean? Personality refers to the style, tone, and behavior of ChatGPT's responses. Users can now choose how the chatbot speaks to them, be it in a friendly, casual, professional, or concise manner. The personalities can also interact with the user's saved memories, making conversations more personalized over time. However, the ChatGPT personalities don't alter the core capabilities or safety features of the chatbot. This feature is currently limited to paying users on the Plus, Pro, and Team levels of ChatGPT. To activate a new personality, users need to start a new chat. The selected personality takes effect right from the first prompt. Well, you must be living under the rock if you have not heard about the luxury brand Louis Vuitton, a name synonymous with timeless elegance and luxury, has long been a trailblazer in fashion, travel, accessories, and even perfumes. Now, the brand is turning its iconic gaze towards the world of makeup, and the beauty world is taking notice. Called the La Beauté, the new line includes 55 lipsticks, 10 lip balms, and 8 eyeshadow palette. With its debut makeup collection, the luxury powerhouse invites consumers into a realm where artistry, innovation, and couture meet. The launch is a partnership with Pat McGrath, whose influence across the beauty industry is so far-reaching that in 2021, she became the first makeup artist to be awarded a damehood. She is known as the mother of makeup, or simply mother, by her 6 million followers on Instagram. Of course, Louis Vuitton isn't just about what's inside the tube. The packaging, designed by industrial designer Constant Grechik, is the epitome of luxury. And brass, refillable, and meant to last forever. LV makeup is more than a foray into cosmetics. It is a new chapter in the brand's evolving story of luxury lifestyle, designed for those who appreciate refinement, craftsmanship, and self-expression. This new makeup line redefines what it means to wear beauty in the world of Louis Vuitton. Makeup is not just applied, it is curated and worn like art. Well, Pakistan sport has a new trailblazer. 20-year-old judoka Malika Noor has etched her name in history by winning a silver medal at the Asian Open Judo Championship in Amman. She's the first Pakistani woman to ever win a medal at an Asian-level judo event. She won the silver medal in the 52 kg category in the Jordanian capital after an impressive victory over Jordan's Raneem Al-Zai in the semi-final. Noor suffered a close defeat at the hands of the Saudi opponent in the final. Despite the second-place finish, it is a major milestone both for her career and for women's sports in Pakistan. The 20-year-old has been one of Pakistan's most promising athletes with consistent performances across international competitions. She also represented Pakistan at the World Junior Judo Championship in last year, and her success is being hailed as an inspiration and perhaps could pave the way for more Pakistani women in martial arts and contact sports. And with that, we slip into a very short break, but we're leaving you with Gravitas Worldview. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION The World. Stay tuned.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific,